to others who should be embarrassed. This group of foreigners was truly something. Looking at the chaotic scene, he quickly raised his hand to stop them, fearing that in the next moment, they would start praising his grandfather who works in the underworld. Alright, now everyone can choose their own equipment. We'll meet in the game shortly. Having set his spawn point long ago, Lin Fei wasn't worried about these people getting lost in the game. After saying this, he called over Kamaichi and walked together to two separate devices. Since there were outsiders present, it wasn't suitable to enter the game world with their consciousness. Therefore, Lin Fei planned to use the devices to enter this time. Speaking of which, this was the first time he would personally experience it since he started making games. Although he had already created several games by hand, just thinking about the personal experience made him a little excited. However, what he didn't expect was that this time entering the game world nearly dropped his jaw. Chapter 249. A construction speed comparable to an empire? What is going on? Goodness. If it weren't for the sight of that standing statue made of white jade that looked 8 parts like him, Lin Fei might have thought he had entered the wrong scene. Rewinding back to a minute ago, as the first founder to apply the immersive chamber to gaming, Lin Fei was instantly shocked by what he saw upon entering the game. The reason for his astonishment was that the scene before him was nothing like what he had left behind. When he had departed, Pan Yinduo and the tribe were still struggling without proper shelter. And now, how many days had it been? In the blink of an eye, a magnificent city had risen from the barren plains. What was even more terrifying was that he could see crops growing around this city. With a heart full of questions, Lin Fei approached the city, and the next moment, he was frozen in place. Oh my heavens, what did he see? He actually saw a statue of himself, carved from white jade. Staring at the towering statue over 10 meters high, his mind went blank. He wasn't a deceased person or a great figure. Why was there a statue of him? However, before Lin Fei could figure out the situation, Komachi and others had already appeared behind him. OMG, our boss actually has this hobby? Oh my lord, it turns out our boss is a great figure. Hearing the exclamations from the group behind him, Lin Fei suddenly felt quite embarrassed. Boss, I really didn't expect you to have this quirk. I know a wax figure master. Shall I introduce you sometime? Looking at the giant statue not far away, Komachi couldn't help but say, if it weren't for the old guy's age, Lin Fei might have just thrown a big punch. But to be fair, that statue was indeed a bit extravagant. Just then, a loud rumbling sound suddenly came from the city gate not far away, and a team of people charged toward them like a yellow dragon. Gods, deities. It's truly the arrival of divine beings. Oh, heavenly gods above, I finally see living deities. Is this the god we worship? As Lin Fei was about to inquire about the approaching team, he saw chaos erupting within it. Silence. At that moment, a loud shout rang out in the chaotic group. With that roar, the team immediately quieted down. The next moment, several leading figures urged their mounts to part and clear a path. As the mounts retreated to the sides, a figure appeared in the center. Pan Yinduo, looking at the more robust and muscular woman with sun-kissed skin clad in rugged leather armor. Lin Fei couldn't help but be surprised. Although her appearance hadn't changed much, for some reason, Lin Fei could feel that Pan Yinduo was no longer the same person she had been before. He didn't know where this feeling came from, and he couldn't even describe it in words. True God, you really have come back. Pan Yinduo rode a strange beast that looked neither like a cow nor a deer. Before reaching Lin Fei, she dismounted in one swift motion, threw the beast aside, and walked excitedly towards Lin Fei. With excitement, Pan Yinduo looked at Lin Fei eagerly, and in the next moment, she raised her arm and knelt on one knee, exclaiming, "The Pan tribe welcomes the true god's arrival." The attendants, seeing Pan Yinduo like this, immediately jumped off their mounts and knelt on one knee, shouting, "The Pan tribe welcomes the true god's arrival. The Pan tribe welcomes the true god's arrival." The sudden scene left Lin Fei at a loss, and he felt even more speechless. He could still find a way to explain the statue incident to Kamaichi and others earlier, but after experiencing this, would they still believe his explanation? Just as Lin Fei thought this, while Pan Yinduo and the others were bowing to him, he felt a strange gaze behind him. To be honest, he really wanted to explain, but this was something he couldn't explain. He didn't even know how to explain it, because from others' perspective, all the characters in the game world he designed had high AI capabilities, and everyone unanimously believed that those characters were just a piece of programming. But Lin Fei knew very well in his heart that everything in the game world he created, not to mention people, even a dog, had its own ideals. And these characters were definitely not just programs. They were all living, breathing humans. Therefore, some things truly couldn't be explained. Facing various strange gazes, Lin Fei could only brace himself and say to Pan Yinduo and the others, "Get up. I'm not into this sort of thing." Fortunately, Pan Yinduo and others were not sticklers for details, and upon hearing Lin Fei's words, she was the first to stand up. OMG, just now I didn't even react. How are these people so strong? Could they be bosses from the game? It's possible. Why do I feel like these people resemble the Titans from mythology? I'm not sure about the Titan part, but I know this race definitely cannot mate with humans. Not necessarily. The females can't, but the males might be possible. After all, there are many who like larger ones in our country. Larger? Look at that guy in leather armor behind. Can that still be called large? Damn, that is more like a giant. Hearing the discussion among the foreign staff behind him, Lin Fei's forehead was filled with black lines. I have to say, these foreign guys are so open-minded. They're even considering establishing a romantic relationship with these huge beings in front of them. No way. I can't even imagine it. Cough, cough, cough. What the heck? I can't believe these guys got me sidetracked. Realizing it instantly, Lin Fei hurriedly put away his wild thoughts. Looking at Pan Yinduo in front of him, he asked, when I left a couple of days ago, things weren't like this here. Your construction speed is incredibly fast, isn't it? Yes. Pan Yinduo and the others had just moved out from the Great Snow Mountain while he was hospitalized, and in the blink of an eye, a city had been built. At this rate, they might even be comparable to the farmers in a certain strategy game. A few days? Upon hearing this, a look of confusion appeared on Pan Yinduo's face, which was not rough despite her strong physique. Heavenly being, it took us 5 years to establish Pan City. Moreover, it has already been 10 years since you left last time. What? 10 years? Before Pan Yinduo could finish, Lin Fei's eyes widened in disbelief, unable to accept what he had just heard. However, Pan Yinduo's subsequent explanation left him utterly shocked. Chapter 250, Change of Race, Titan. How many days had it been since he left the game world? 2 days? 3 days? Or 5 days? But even if it had been 5 days, something felt off. Listening to the explanation from Pan Yinduo, Lin Fei was completely shocked. He never expected that only a few days had passed in this world while 10 years had gone by in the game. It was quite unsettling. Could it be a glitch? How else could it be explained? Lin Fei stared at Pan Yinduo in amazement, and suddenly, he realized. No wonder he had felt something different about her before. It was a matter of time. If the Pan Yinduo he had seen earlier was a young girl, then the current Pan Yinduo was a young woman. The appeal of the two was completely different. Of course, this was just a metaphor. Lin Fei had no improper thoughts about Pan Yinduo. In fact, he even felt that she was like a daughter to him. After all, this woman was part of the tribe he had personally established. Thinking about how she had lost 10 years for no reason, Lin Fei felt a bit guilty. Suddenly, he thought of the powerful system. Without hesitation, he brought up Pan Yinduo's attribute panel. Name, Pan Yinduo, race, barbarian, lifespan, 300 years, 47. Combat power, 903. Growth value, 5001000. It seemed he had overthought it. Seeing that Pan Yinduo had a lifespan of 300 years, longer than his own, Lin Fei was surprised. However, although she had a lifespan of 300 years, she was the first NPC he had created after the update, and he liked her. If he left and came back later, she might have passed away by then. That was not what he wanted to see. As if struck by a thought, he quickly clicked on the race option in her panel. The next moment, a long list of race titles appeared before his eyes. Divine race, demigod, witch race, demon race. Looking at the dazzling array of various races, both familiar and unfamiliar, he was momentarily at a loss for how to choose. Fortunately, his indecision did not last long. He realized that changing races was not as simple as he had thought. He didn't have enough emotional points. Although he had been accumulating emotional points every moment over the past 2 days, it was merely a drop in the bucket compared to the vastness of this new world. This was exactly why he urgently needed the trailer to harvest emotions. Nonetheless, he had to do what needed to be done. After much thought, Lin Fei cleared his emotional points and changed Pan Yinduo to the Titan race. As the cheapest race among the divine races, Titans might not have the frightening combat power as rumored, but they had an obvious advantage: longevity. A Titan could live for about 50,000 years from birth to a normal death. For the current Pan Yinduo, that was more than enough. As for her abilities and whether they would exceed expectations in this world, Lin Fei was completely unconcerned. With the change of races, countless tiny golden stars flew from Lin Fei's hands, and in the next moment, to everyone's astonishment and shock, they flew towards Pan Yinduo and merged into her body. The entire scene was fleeting, as if nothing had happened at all. However, the group of barbarians knew that just moments ago, they had witnessed a miracle. True God! True God! The rugged barbarians shouted again. As the instigator, Lin Fei never imagined that this change of races would cause such a stir in the system. Thinking about how often Kameki and others had misunderstood, Lin Fei simply decided not to explain. As the beneficiary, Pan Yinduo didn't understand what those golden lights were, but she could clearly feel that something within her body seemed to awaken after they merged. At the same time, there was an inexhaustible strength coursing through her limbs. At that moment, she felt that even if there were a great mountain in front of her, she could easily lift it. Of course, even if there were a real mountain, she wouldn't put it to the test. She didn't want to leave a bad impression on the divine being. Pan Yinduo knelt down again. Pan Yinduo, thank you for the divine blessing. I've told you before. We don't do this here. Seeing her kneel again, Lin Fei put on a stern face. Not hesitating, Pan Yinduo stood up, but didn't he forget to express her gratitude again. Pan Yinduo, thank you, divine being. This time, before she could finish, Lin Fei interrupted. All right, no need for thanks. I'm here to ask you for a favor. The divine being commands, just say it. My Pan clan will do our utmost. After saying this, Pan Yinduo felt her sincerity was insufficient and continued. As long as the divine being has an order, even if my entire Pan clan is wiped out, we will definitely fulfill your command. Looking at her serious expression, Lin Fei felt grateful, but couldn't he help but show a wry smile. He waved his hand and said, it's not as serious as you say. I'm mainly here to shoot a trailer. Trailer? Seeing the puzzled look on Pan Yinduo's face, Lin Fei realized that although she had thoughts, she didn't know what shooting was. Explaining this was quite troublesome. After a moment of thought, he said, a trailer means you help me act in a scene. You all just need to perform, and I will leave the rest to my subordinates. After speaking, Lin Fei turned to Kameki and asked, so, how does this scene look? Hearing Lin Fei's words, Kameki recalled the purpose of their visit. Pulling his gaze away from the towering barbarians in front of him, he carefully examined the surrounding environment and suddenly let out a long sigh. Sigh. Seeing the downcast Kamaki, Lin Fei felt puzzled. What's wrong with you? I think the surroundings are quite suitable. Did I ever say it wasn't? Upon hearing this, Kamaki glanced at Lin Fei and sighed deeply. I'm just lamenting that if we had this technology back in the day, my achievements would probably be even greater. Damn. So this old guy is sighing here for that reason. Feeling quite speechless, Lin Fei patted Kamaki on the shoulder. It's okay. It's not too late to make up for it now. Since it's suitable, then the next steps are up to you. You see what roles you need, and whether these people fit. As soon as he heard about casting, Kamaki's eyes immediately lit up as he looked at Pan Yinduo. Don't get me wrong. Kamaki is no longer the director who used to cast people in bed. But then again, even if Pan Yinduo was willing to go to bed, he might still feel too insecure to do so. After all, a toothpick is not just a saying. Chapter 251. Heading to the Sacred Beast Forest upon hearing Kamaki's request, Pan Duo and her tall, strong tribesmen all looked at Kamaki with puzzled expressions. They even wondered how this servant of the divine could have such a bizarre request. However, despite its oddity, they did not voice any objections. The requirements mentioned by Kamaki were not an issue for them at all. Seeing that no one had raised any objections, not even a single comment, Kamaki felt somewhat uncomfortable. In previous film shoots, even for minor roles, there would always be some small tantrums or issues. Yet this time, not only did no one voice any opinions, but they also seemed indifferent to his requests. This left Kamaki at a loss for words for a moment. After a long pause, he finally asked, if you have any issues, you can bring them up now. After all, we are shooting on location and we can't use special effects. Special effects? Pan Duo looked at Lin Fei with confusion. At that moment, Lin Fei realized that these people had no clue about filming videos. An awkward expression flashed across his face as he explained, special effects are, well, he suddenly had no idea how to describe it. But then an idea struck him. Special effects are a type of effect, like when you swing a weapon and it can produce sword energy or force. That's what. Before Lin Fei could finish, Pan Duo, standing opposite him, suddenly drew the long sword from the side of her guard, and without hesitation swung it towards an empty spot. Watching the heavy sword smash down like a door panel, it instantly cracked the ground beneath. Lin Fei and Kamaki's eyes widened in shock. Everyone gasped in unison. Wow, this tall woman is incredibly fierce. Looking at the ground that had been shattered into a spiderweb of cracks, they couldn't help but think that if that strike had landed on their heads, they would probably be reduced to a puddle of mush. Just as everyone was still in shock, Pan Duo's voice reached their ears. Is this what you meant by special effects, Divine One? Glancing at Pan Duo, who stood calmly beside the cracked ground as if nothing had happened, Lin Fei felt 1,000 thoughts racing through his mind. Did she really know what she was doing? Yes, that is special effects. Lin Fei replied awkwardly before adding, let's leave the special effects at that. Over the years, there should be quite a few magical beasts in that forest, right? Thinking back to when he first created this area, he suddenly felt curious about the changes in the little cat and dog he had initially made. He wondered if the two little creatures had grown after all this time. The Sacred Beast Forest, huh? Upon hearing his words, a hint of fear appeared on Pan Duo's calm face. Divine One, I'm sorry, but our tribesmen can only operate at the outskirts of the Sacred Beast Forest. The depths of the forest are filled with various powerful magical beasts. Moreover, there are 2 powerful sacred beasts among them. Fortunately, over the years, these magical beasts have not left the Sacred Beast Forest, and we rarely venture deep into that forest. Listening to Pan Yinduo's explanation, Lin Fei couldn't help but feel worried. The world of magical beasts is straightforward and follows the law of the jungle. He wondered if those two little ones could survive in that terrifying forest. Lin Fei felt it was necessary to take a look in that forest. With that thought, he immediately decided, I didn't expect the changes in that forest to be so significant. Since that's the case, you all go ahead and busy yourselves. I'll take them to have a look, as most of the scenes in the promotional video are from that forest. Upon hearing that Lin Fei and the others were going to the sacred beast forest, Pan Yinduo's expression changed drastically. Even though Lin Fei was like a deity in her eyes, seeing his small stature still made her unable to suppress her worries. Deity, there are magical beasts everywhere. It's very dangerous. Seeing Pan Yinduo's alarmed expression, Lin Fei felt warm inside. He was not afraid of magical beasts at all. True, he looked thin and weak compared to these barbarian tribespeople, but he had another identity in this game world. That is, he was an administrator, commonly known as a chicken admirer. Could a chicken admirer be bullied by a magical beast in his own game? However, Pan Yinduo and the others did not understand this, and Lin Fei was too lazy to explain. He smiled slightly and said, Don't worry, nothing in this world can harm me. Upon hearing Lin Fei's words, Pan Yinduo was taken aback. She didn't doubt him, but thought it was a bit exaggerated. However, seeing that Lin Fei was determined to go, she no longer stopped him but spoke up. If you insist on going, then please take us with you. It was you who brought us from the great snow mountain to this fertile land, so let our Pan tribe act as your vanguard. Rest assured, our tribe is full of warriors. Even if we have to shatter our bones, we will protect you. It was just to find a filming location. Did it have to feel like going to death? Looking at the serious expression on Pan Yinduo's face, Lin Fei couldn't help but smile wryly. Following Pan Yinduo's solemn promise, the strong warriors in leather helmets standing nearby echoed loudly. We are willing to protect you. Even if we have to shatter our bones, we will do it without hesitation. Goodness, these folks are acting as if they're going to the battlefield to die. Listening to the deafening shouts, Lin Fei finally showed a shocked expression. Looking at this group of determined barbarian tribespeople, he found it hard to refuse and had to swallow his words. Reluctantly, he nodded in agreement. All right. Seeing Lin Fei agree, Pan Yinduo and her tribespeople all showed expressions of joy. Ever since Lin Fei had moved their entire tribe out from the Great Snow Mountain, they had been filled with gratitude. They originally planned to dedicate their lives to protecting this deity-like benefactor, but unexpectedly, he had vanished without a trace. Because of this, Pan Yinduo established a statue of Lin Fei when building Duoyan City to show their admiration. Now, seeing Lin Fei again and hearing that he wants to go to the sacred beast forest, these people, who usually kept their distance, couldn't help but feel a surge of courage. In their eyes, this might be their only chance to repay their gratitude. Therefore, even if it meant death, they felt no fear. After receiving Lin Fei's agreement, Pan Yinduo and her people did not set off immediately. Instead, they sent someone back to prepare transportation for Lin Fei and the others. Seeing their actions, Lin Fei hesitated for a moment and decided to abandon the idea of directly teleporting there. Roar, roar. Before long, a sound like rolling thunder echoed. Lin Fei, who was talking to Kamaki, instinctively turned to look. In the next second, the group of outsiders stood frozen in place. How impressive. Chapter 252 with your build. You wouldn't be enough to fill the gaps of its teeth. OMG, this is so cool. Yeah, I really want to go touch that monster pulling the cart. Are you crazy? With your size, you wouldn't even be enough to fill its gaps. Honestly, our boss is quite flashy. Looking at the procession coming out of the city, especially the terrifying carriage at the front. No, it shouldn't be called a carriage now. As they gazed upon the massive four-wheeled mobile house being pulled by four giant beasts, the group was completely stunned. Not only were the outsiders taken aback, but even Lin Fei widened his eyes, looking like he had seen a ghost. Putting aside the luxurious carriage for now, just the four fierce beasts pulling it did not appear to be gentle creatures at all. It was hard to imagine that these rough barbarian people could actually handle such a setup. It was really unexpected. Perhaps noticing the shock and recognition of the unknown magical beasts in Lin Fei's eyes, Pan Yinduo immediately explained. Sir, this carriage was prepared for you many years ago. We thought you would never come again, so we kept these thunder leopards in captivity. However, even after a few years of captivity, these magical beasts still retain their ferocity. But don't worry, we have professional beast tamers who will accompany you to the sacred beast forest. Thunder leopards? As they looked at the terrifying monsters gradually approaching, standing about 4 meters tall and resembling tigers and leopards, the feeling of intimidation from facing Pan Yinduo and her group, despite their height, became trivial compared to these four fearsome beasts. The primal fear that seemed to emanate from human instinct caused everyone to break out in a cold sweat. Especially as the four thunder leopards approached to within 10 meters, the feeling of needing to look up while facing their fierce gazes. To be honest, this feeling was quite unpleasant, even infuriating. The foreign staff, including Kamaki, were trembling uncontrollably. Some even muttered, are these monsters from the demon realm? Did the creatures from the mountains come out? This is terrifying. Damn it. My heart is trembling. The oppressive feeling brought by these thunder leopards was so overwhelming that the group of outsiders, while trembling, instinctively began to step back. In contrast to the retreating foreigners, Lin Fei did not move at all. Although he couldn't hide the shock in his eyes and felt fear inside, he didn't tremble like the others. His shock and fear quickly faded, and in the next moment, under the incredulous gazes of everyone, he made a surprising move. He lifted his foot and walked towards the thunder leopards. Upon seeing this, Pan Yinduo instinctively gasped and rushed forward to stop him. No. However, before she could finish her words, the scene before her and her tribesmen left them completely stunned. Lin Fei walked slowly in front of the thunder beast, raising his hand. In the next moment, those thunder leopards seemed to instantly transform into docile big cats, lowering their bodies and lying on the ground. When Lin Fei's palm touched its head, the fierce gaze that was once there instantly narrowed. A look of enjoyment even appeared on its face. Witnessing such an unbelievable scene, Pan Yinduo and the tribespeople were completely dumbfounded. They never imagined that the notoriously ferocious thunder leopards could be so tame in front of their deity. It was simply astonishing. Haha, got it. I just thought of something. At that moment, the dazed Komachi suddenly burst into laughter and happily approached, wanting to say something to Lin Fei. Roar, 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 roar. However, what greeted him were 4 roars filled with a bloody aura. The terrifying gust of wind and strong smell of blood instantly scared Komachi, causing him to sit down on the ground. Seeing this, Lin Fei slapped the head of the thunder leopard in front of him and scolded, "Be good." It was merely an instinctive action, and that slap didn't hurt the thunder leopard at all. But unexpectedly, the thunder beast that was slapped immediately showed a painful and aggrieved expression. Then it nuzzled Lin Fei with its large head in a pleading manner. Am I seeing this correctly? The thunder beast is trying to please the deity? This creature is surprisingly intelligent? Damn it, we've been deceived by these beasts all along. Fortunately, the deity appeared. Otherwise, these beasts might have gone berserk one day. Seeing this scene, Pan Yinduo's tribespeople immediately gasped in surprise. A few years ago, they had captured these 4 thunder leopards at a heavy cost. Initially, they planned to execute them. They were indeed ready to do so. However, just as they were about to act, an elder named Zhang suggested that they create a magnificent carriage for their deity, just in time for these thunder leopards to pull it. Upon hearing this, everyone thought that traveling with thunder leopards would be extremely grand. Thus, they decided to keep the injured thunder leopards. Unexpectedly, after years of captivity and training, they thought they had tamed these magical beasts. But who would have thought that they were just pretending? Only now did they gain a new understanding of thunder leopards. However, this was inevitable. After all, in this land, the understanding between all species had only been a mere decade. A decade, let alone for magical beasts and barbarian tribes, even for an ordinary person, was just a fleeting moment. After being scolded by Lin Fei, the thunder leopards were clearly much calmer than before. And seeing the 4 thunder leopards lying in front of Lin Fei like well-behaved big cats, the 2 beast tamers following the caravan instantly felt as if they were out of a job. As it turned out, just as they had thought, with Lin Fei's presence, the carriage did not need any beast tamers or drivers at all. Although Lin Fei did not touch the thoughts of the 4 thunder leopards, he could clearly sense their friendliness. He knew that all of this was thanks to his identity as someone who was admired by the chickens. Looking at the luxurious exterior of the vehicle, he immediately called Komachi and others to get in the car. He also commanded the 4 thunder leopards to head towards the sacred beast forest. Once inside the cabin, Lin Fei and the others were once again shocked by the scene before them. The entire interior space of the cabin was so large that not only they, but even 100 or 80 more people could fit inside. This highlighted its terrifying scale. However, it was understandable. How could a vehicle made by a group of giants compare to those made for normal humans? But in the next moment, when they saw the seats that resembled a double bed, expressions of amusement and disbelief appeared on their faces. Well, this truly was like going into a room to get on the bed. The interior space of the cabin was enormous, and the journey to the sacred beast forest was not short. With nothing much to do, Lin Fei decided to call Pan Yinduo up to the vehicle. Chapter 253, Ready to Shoot. From the words of Pan Yinduo, everyone gained a deeper understanding of the sacred beast mountain range. Lin Fei was fine, but for people like Komachi, just hearing about the creatures inside made them pale with fear, even causing the formidable woman before them to seem daunting. They were well aware that this strong woman could single-handedly smash the ground with a door panel. It was hard to believe that there were creatures even she couldn't handle. Just how terrifying were those monsters? They couldn't even begin to imagine. As Lin Fei heard about the horrors of the sacred beast mountain range, his greatest worry was for the fire cloud, evil god, and the little flower cat. He clearly remembered that the growth values of those two were not high. With both being level 100 creatures, surviving in such a terrifying forest would clearly be a challenge. The thought of the 2 beings he had created perishing like that left a bitter taste in his heart. About an hour later, Lin Fei and his group arrived at the edge of the sacred beast forest. They were greeted by a group of tribal guards stationed there. Upon seeing Lin Fei, it was evident that these individuals were not expecting to encounter the legendary deity. From Pan Yinduo, Lin Fei learned that these tribal people were the patrols stationed here during this period. Although the animals in the sacred beast forest did not infringe upon them, Pan Yinduo still arranged for several teams to take turns guarding the area, just in case. Upon learning all this, Lin Fei couldn't help but glance in surprise at the tall Pan Yinduo. He hadn't expected this woman to possess both strength and attention to detail. It seemed that one should not judge a book by its cover. Wow, this place is practically a natural film set, perfect for our trailer. At this moment, after a simple survey of the terrain, Komichi couldn't help but praise. Standing at the edge of the ancient tree forest, as far as the eye could see was a lush green plain, flat and expansive. The wide view was refreshing and invigorating. This scene completely matched Komichi's envisioned setting. Turning back, behind them were the dense branches and leaves of the ancient trees, evoking the sense of a primordial era. The theme of this trailer was related to the rise of ancient humans from another world. Looking at everything before him, Komichi's face flushed with excitement. From the looks of it, our trailer is already halfway to success. Seeing Komichi so pleased with the scenery, Lin Fei smiled slightly and said, "Since that's the case, let us go check out some of the other main characters of this film." With that, Lin Fei took a step forward. Because of the previous incident with the gentle thunder leopard, Pan Yinduo didn't say anything to stop him this time. However, for safety's sake, she followed closely behind him. Before long, the group entered the sacred beast forest. As they ventured deeper, the light grew dimmer, and a musty scent of decay, long absent from sunlight, filled the air. In the dense forest of ancient trees, moss covered the ground, making the soles of their shoes feel slippery as they walked. Woof! As the crowd moved forward, Lin Fei, who was at the front of the line, faintly heard a low growling sound. Before he could investigate, the released thunder leopards, scattered throughout the dense forest, suddenly reacted. For thunder leopards, like hunting dogs that had found prey, darted out without needing any command from Lin Fei. Despite their large stature, they moved through the dense forest as if they were fish in water. The 4 thunder leopards vanished quickly from sight, like lightning. Lin Fei didn't think much of it, but he noticed the surprised look in Pan Yinduo's eyes. At that moment, Komichi, who was trailing behind, seemed to suddenly remember something and quickly approached Lin Fei. "Boss, I think we should start recording now. Where's our equipment?" Lin Fei immediately asked what equipment was needed. Komichi was momentarily taken aback, but quickly reported the names of the equipment without hesitation. However, before he could finish, his eyes widened in astonishment. As he mentioned each piece of equipment, Lin Fei produced them one by one, seeing the equipment perfectly matching what he had described. Komichi couldn't help but think of a saying from his homeland, creating something from nothing. At that moment, no other phrase could better describe what he was witnessing. Komichi had played games before, but he had never seen anyone play like Lin Fei. After some thought, he came to terms with it. After all, Lin Fei was a game developer. If he could conjure up equipment, it wouldn't be surprising if he could even summon a girl. With that in mind, Komichi didn't hesitate to report a set of top-of-the-line filming equipment. Lin Fei knew nothing about photography, so he didn't know what equipment would be suitable. Therefore, he simply selected whatever Komichi mentioned. Before long, a complete set of top-notch filming equipment was assembled for Komichi's team. Once the entire team was equipped, Komichi called everyone to start filming. He wanted to record everything he saw, even if the footage wasn't used for a trailer. He believed he would find a use for it one day. Facing the black, strange equipment, Pan Yinduo and her tribespeople showed visible curiosity and fear. Seeing that the group's movements were not as smooth as before, Komichi quickly reassured them and patiently explained the function of the tools in hand. Upon hearing that the black devices could record everything, the group of tribespeople, while still somewhat hesitant, became noticeably less stiff than before. Komichi understood that these people hadn't received professional training, and this stiffness could only be eased over time as they adapted to the filming process. While the group was setting up their shots, sounds of rustling came from the dense forest. Before they could prepare themselves, massive figures appeared in the dimly lit jungle. When the figures came into view, everyone realized that it was the 4 lightning leopards that had left earlier. What were they holding in their mouths? Was that a level 3 magical beast, a moonwolf? How on earth did they catch this moonwolf? As the lightning leopards approached, everyone could finally see that the leading leopard was carrying a beast with silver fur in its mouth. When they saw the appearance of the beast, everyone was astonished. It wasn't because the moonwolf was particularly powerful, rather, it was that these creatures were social animals. Each wolf pack typically consisted of at least 10 to 20 members. And how long had it been since these 4 lightning leopards left? Surely not even 10 minutes. Had they really taken down an entire wolf pack? Chapter 254. The barbarian warriors prepare for a battle to the death. Thank you for your kindness. Lin Fei said with a bittersweet expression as he looked at the prey thrown before him by the lightning leopards. While others might not understand the meaning of the lightning leopard